Langford, Ranking Member Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think part of the problem here is the housing that these contracting companies have taken over is extremely old, correct? Ms. Christensen, or not?
No, I don't believe that's the case. There are some that are older and they have different issues like lead and asbestos. But you can look at brand new homes and they are going to have the same systemic issues that other homes have, especially with the way that they're constructed. There's going to be leaks coming in, but no matter what, if you fix a leak, it will not cause problems if you remediate it correctly the first time. So no matter if they're new homes or old homes, failed maintenance is failed maintenance, and it's going to continue to occur.
So it sounds like Senator Carper, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but apparently at Dover Air Force Base, he believes the base commander is taking charge of this and is doing a pretty good job. I mean, it's never perfect. Are there some bases, are there some housing units that are in better shape than others where you don't have the kind of complaints? I mean, are there some real problem areas?
There's definitely larger problem areas, and there's also installations that are having a better time with certain things. Like, I can find you an installation that has better mold than others. You're still going to find mold there, even in the desert. So you're going to see it across the board. I wouldn't say that anybody is doing it a better way that I can bring to you. I would love to. I would love to say model everything after this installation, because then our organization wouldn't have to exist. We're a 100% volunteer-run organization that's handling a massive amount of clientele.
But you gave two examples of what the supposed fix in the NDAA from a couple of years ago took leases from 10 pages to 100 and took it to a 48-step resolution process, or
correct.
Any other bureaucratic fixes like that?
There's a ton. So, I mean, those are two really great examples that you can visually see, but just the process in which you need to request any type of assistance is so lengthy that most families are giving up and their homes are going to continue to deteriorate.
So I'm the bean counter on this committee. So I kind of want to ask a couple bean counter questions because I haven't got the overall extent of this. I mean, to my knowledge, what I saw, it looks like Balfour B is paid roughly around $30 million a year for its housing management. Is that accurate?
I have no idea of any of those numbers. I would love to know what they are, but no, that's not something accessible to me. Okay,
so you wouldn't be able to tell me what is the total government contract amounts for managing this housing?
No, and I will tell you that we have tried to get a lot of that information through Freedom of Information Act requests, but it's claimed as proprietary, so we get a lot of blacked out documents.
I run the same problem when I try and do legitimate oversight, so I feel your pain on that. You did mention, this was a comment, that this is profits over people. Do you know what the profitability level is?
I don't know what the profitability is, but I will tell you that it has to be good enough because they keep coming back to the Senate to hear it, and they haven't tried to get away with anything else.
Okay, well, I'll obviously be exploring that with the folks here from Balfour. One of the reasons I asked the question is if my information is correct and Balfour is getting about $30 million a year, they paid a $65 million fine, I'd kind of scratch my head and go, why even be in that business? How many other contractors like Balfour are there?
There are 14 housing.
14. How many? Generally, you've got an 80-20 rule. 80% of the work is done by about 20%. Are there top 5 or so?
Yes, there's Balfour Beatty, Liberty Military Housing, Corvius, Hunt, and for some reason I can't think of a.
Does your group find any difference in terms of the level of management of any of those companies? I mean, are there some companies that are just heads and tails above the others?
No. I mean, if you took Balfour Beatty out of any of the statements that anybody at this table wrote, you can interchange them with any of the other companies. And I will say that the smaller companies who have not gotten the attention that the other ones have are absolutely horrific for residents to live in. They are the worst.
So you know, if I'm a base commander and I had the power to, use the free market system and say, you're not performing, I'm going to fire you, I'm going to hire somebody else. It doesn't seem like there's anybody else to hire that would do a better job.
I don't agree with that necessarily. I think that the fact that there is not that ability is the reason that this is occurring.
Well, I understand. No, but again, right now there is not that ability, correct? That's the point I'm trying to make. So I'm trying to drill down on what is the root cause of this. Why does this continue? Again, in a free market, there should be, and I come from the free market system. I compete against excellence, and excellence means really high quality, high levels of customer service at the best possible price. I mean, that's what a free market guarantees. Something's broken down here, okay? And my guess is bureaucratic fixes that just simply don't work. Bureaucratic mindset. It's not my problem. We're going to pass this bill, and we're going to say we're going to turn it over here, kind of walk away, and the bureaucracy creates fixes like, a 100-page lease, a 48-step resolution process, finger pointing, the big runaround, and nothing gets fixed. So I'm trying to hone in on what is the root cause here and how can it actually be fixed. My guess is, I'd be looking for a free market solution, and I'd fire these people, okay? But you've got to have somebody to replace it. And that's one of the reasons I'm talking about profitability. I mean, is there enough incentive for good companies to come in here and do the kind of job that we would all expect? Again, I recognize you can't really answer that question.
I would hope that there is, but I would also like to say that, like you're saying, like you're competing in a market off the installation. You're competing in a market where I am paying rent to you, and if you're not doing a good job, you don't receive my rent. That's not the case for these housing companies. They're still, and that was something that 3 years ago they requested, was for service members to not be able to just have that allotted. And that's a big oversight lack.
It also sounds like there's relationships between people on the base, members of the military, and people working for these companies. Is that a common problem? Or?
Absolutely. That is an absolute problem, because if you're going to someone and you have a personal relationship with them, they're not going to want to get them in trouble.
So again, I have no doubt that Armed Services Committee tried to fix this a couple of years ago. I think the result of our investigation, the result of this hearing is didn't work. We better figure out something better to do. But anyway, I appreciate your testimony, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ranking Member Johnson. This concludes the testimony from our first panel. I want to thank you all so sincerely for your presence, for sharing your experiences and information with us. In particular, I want to commend these two extraordinary active duty service members, one of whom flew from South Korea, one from Texas, to join us and get on the record your experiences. And with gratitude, this panel is dismissed, and we'll now prepare to hear from our second panel. Thank you.